Alrighty. It's my first time going live here on YouTube. So I'm just waiting for some people to enter the chat, or if not, we're still going to vibe, still going to do our thing here. I do need to kind of mess around with all this stuff because I have no idea how any of this works, but we're going to do it anyway. So I can share my screen. That is exactly what we need. Alrighty. Well, here's an update to whoever is watching. We're back in the crypto space. We're getting some big updates going on. Apparently, President Trump is going to come in and he's going to say something huge about the market. In my opinion, I think we're talking about a Bitcoin strategic reserve. And that is the fact that they're going to make a Bitcoin backing, kind of like how they have a gold backing. Excuse me in the mic. Kind of like how they have a gold backing. So gold backing kind of goes back to BRICS, and that's the whole nation coming with, I don't know who all's part of it, but Bitcoin strategic reserve, it's going to be huge. And I think that will also involve Chainlink, which is right here. And I'm super bullish on Link. I can't tell you how bullish I am. And I keep preaching it to the world, to everyone, all my friends, everyone. Link can be a great asset. And that's because it takes your off chain data, brings it on chain, and gives you the ability to have more data on chain. So basically, you wouldn't be able to track the price of an asset on chain without the power of Chainlink. That's correct. So, enough with all the chitter chatter and the seriousness. The reason I want to bring up this stream is because we've seen a recent downtrend in the market. And just to kind of highlight that, and I know I can share my screen here, which is awesome. So let me kind of pull up the charts here and show you exactly what we're talking about. So give me 1 second here. Alrighty. So let me show the full chart. How do I show my chart here? Let me just grab the chart from here and kind of bring it over. Then let's pull up these charts and just dive right into it. Alrighty. Okay. Let me share my screen. Yep, let me allow that. Kind of bring that tab and share. All right, so you guys can see this tab now. This is the current price of Chainlink. So as you can see, we're sitting right at $21.67. Now, kind of looking back on the history of Chainlink, we kind of had a little bit of a bottom down here in August, but the real true bottom was when we kind of capitulated, meaning that we had huge sell volume coming into here on this date, which was, looks like June 22nd of this year, coming down about $10, and we kind of double bottomed here and there. But currently the price has increased exponentially, coming from this point all the way to a high of about 27.74. That's about 152% return if you bought back here in June, and then you sold if you wanted to sell in August, right? So what, June, July, August, 2 month return. You're getting about 152%. That's amazing. And since then, it's been kind of sideways, nothing too crazy. But then again, the overall market has also been down. Looking back on Bitcoin, it's kind of the same thing, right? We had that little bottom. And again, Bitcoin is the king, right? Bitcoin is where most of the money flows. So Bitcoin is kind of where all the major moves happen. Bitcoin is a leading indicator because it's the king of crypto. And one thing to kind of look off of Bitcoin is what's called the Bitcoin dominance. So let me go to my other list here. We have Bitcoin dominance. So this is a measure to show you how much Bitcoin overtakes any other asset and kind of when it leads the market. So when Bitcoin dominance goes green and when it's higher, that's normally when money's flowing into Bitcoin and not into altcoins. Again, if you don't know what altcoins are, they're just any other coin other than Bitcoin. So that could be, Solana, could be Link, It could also be Ethereum, just not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is known as the leader. Bitcoin is the first crypto. It started the whole peer-to-peer transactions. Invention of the blockchain started with Bitcoin. So good to keep in mind. These are good indicators to look at. So I got Bitcoin dominance here. I also have Ethereum dominance and Link dominance. So if you see my videos, and I'm sure some of the viewers have, you know that I am actually very big on these three. So I'm very big on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Link. Those are my top three. I feel like they will solidify themselves as the top three cryptos by market cap eventually. Bitcoin and Ethereum are the one and two. Link is a little behind, still in the top 20, I believe, but not, not to a point where it's all the way up. And if we want to kind of look in that, dive deeper in that, let me actually break it down. Let's go pull up some CoinGecko, which is a great website, to where you can kind of see exactly the market caps of all these cryptos. So let me share that screen, and we can kind of look at it from there. So coming here, so here we have CoinGecko. So CoinGecko is a great website to where if you want to come up here and just kind of search any asset, it shows you trending assets. Aster, I will get into that. I'll definitely touch on that. Looks like less shot up 190% today. Hold up. I need to look at that. That looks actually a little crazy. I've never even heard of this coin. Let me get out of that. Never even heard of this. It looks like it's on Solana. It could be like a meme coin, most likely. Probably, if I'm guessing. But this is like the interface, what you'd see. So you see a live chart here. You see a live price up here. Quick tokenomics coming at you. So you got the market cap, which is just the price times the supply. That's how you calculate it. This is the circulating supply. The current supply in circulation, that's this number. Total supply is the max, or max supply, total supply, pretty much the same thing. But basically, that's the maximum supply. So it looks like we're only at almost 2 billion out of 10 billion. So about 20% of the total supply is available on the market currently. Here we have our contract address. You can literally just copy it. And then if you were to trade on like a DEX, decentralized exchange, you'd basically just go on that DEX, paste your contract address, and swap from one coin into this coin. That's basically how you trade it. And then, you have they link their Twitter, Telegram, Discord. You can go into SolScan, which is basically a way to look at Solana's blockchain. So you can look directly in their blockchain. So let me actually share that. I don't know if you're seeing that. Let me share this tab. Perfect. So this is SolScan. So I'm just going to kind of deep dive into how you can navigate this market, kind of like how I would look at it if I was kind of trading these coins, right? Just disclaimer though, I don't go too heavy into memes. If I see an opportunity, maybe I'll take it. But at the same time, memes are very risky. So trade at your own risk. That's all I'm going to say. But here, kind of, you can see the number of holders. So holders is super important because holders bring liquidity. And if you have a bigger variety of holders, then you'll be able to see more diversity, which is better. And you don't want too many people holding the coin. And at the same time, you don't want higher holders. So you don't want someone holding a larger percent. It's always a red flag to me if someone holds more than 20%, even more than 10%, I would say. Ideally, I want the max holder to be at like 2 to 3%. And you can see the breakdown by coming to this holder section here. Kind of scroll down and red flag already. This person owns 34%. Next person 18. Then we got 16, 10. If I kind of click into the account, so now I can click onto this person's wallet, which is the beauty of blockchain. Everything is public. Remember, blockchain immutable, meaning you can't change it. It's a public ledger, so all transactions, all trades public. So it makes it easy for you to kind of copy trade and look into these wallets, and gives you a good idea of, maybe if you follow a wallet that's been making good trades, you can continue to follow it. So if you definitely find some good trades and good wallets, definitely follow it and keep up with it. This is a good way to kind of get your feet wet and explore the chain, because the chain's very vast. It's everything from swaps to transactions to deployments of smart contracts, kind of like everything, anything and everything you can find on here. But if you hit this drop down, you can see their token holdings. So it looks like they have what, million, billion, trillion, 3 trillion blessed tokens. It's a lot of money, no doubt. You go to transfers, you can see when they transferred. So all public ledgers, again, you can go click into each of these transactions and see when they bought it, how much they bought. So this blessed transaction looks like they sold 890 million. If I kind of click into this, see, it was 4 days ago. They swapped it on, I guess this is like some exchange, I'm guessing. And yeah, they kind of got rid of it. Kind of gives you that information. So enough of that spiel. I know that's probably not something you want to see, but let me stop sharing there and kind of go back into it. Oh, it looks like we got a viewer. Can't see me. Can you see me now? Should be live. Hopefully I'm live. Hopefully you can see me. But yeah, so that is what's going on in the market. So kind of let's go back and hop back into CoinGecko and kind of dive a little deeper into these trending coins and kind of how to use the platform, because it's very beneficial. It's very helpful to kind of navigate this, especially when we head into a bull market. Like, I seriously feel like we're heading into a bull market. We're kind of in a downtrend. And before I share this, let me dive a little deeper into that. So we're in a downtrend because the Fed cut rates. People think Fed cuts are not bearish. They think it's bullish, meaning that the market goes up. So right now, if you own a house, for example, you would know that the housing market is inflated, as everything else is, because we're in a phase of hyperinflation, which is only more bullish for things like Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is inflation proof. It's a safe haven, very similar to gold. And if you've been looking at gold prices, it's been flying through the roof, like above 3,800. I think it set a high. Absolutely insane. But Bitcoin is lagging that. So Bitcoin is now a lagging indicator of gold, when that was flipped about, let's say, 4 years ago, back in 2021. You were able to see something completely different. So what you were looking back then would be gold at a lower price, and then Bitcoin would shoot up. So it really just depends on what you're looking at. But Bitcoin and gold are great indicators to kind of look back and forth to see which one's better, which one is leading, which one's lagging. Currently, gold is leading and Bitcoin is lagging. But coming back to the Fed rates, the Fed did cut the rates by 50 basis points. And let me pull up like a link for you so you can kind of see exactly what happened there and what's kind of going on. Currently, actually today, the Fed, or Jerome Powell, or Jay Powell, as we like to call him in the space, is kind of came out and said you can't ignore the risk of higher inflation. So let me share my screen here so you can see exactly what I'm looking at. Some ads are going to pop up, but basically, Fed can't ignore the risk of higher inflation. He's basically coming out, and we are in a stage of hyperinflation. We are going to see more inflation, not going to slow down. The rate cuts didn't really do much. And as a matter of fact, if you look at the mortgage rates, when the rates got cut, the mortgage rates actually went up because the 10-year treasury went up, meaning that more people are putting money to the side, and more money is actually flowing into money markets too, which is considered a safe haven. These are all signals. These are huge signals. Signals that you not ignore, because it just means we're headed in a stage of uncertainty that could lead to things like recession, that could lead to times where you don't really know what's going to happen. The stock market's hitting all-time highs. The S&P is literally making all-time highs as we speak. Like, I believe there's an all-time high today itself. All these big tech companies are continuing to grow. Everything is going up. But for some reason, crypto has been down, right? I showed you the charts, right? And if we can dive back into it, I can actually compare and show you what's going on with the stock market and why it's different or why it's decoupled, as you would say, from the crypto market. And it's actually very odd as to what's going on, but let me show you the charts here to kind of give you a better sense. Obviously, you can't see me when I share my screen. Do you see me in the corner when I share my screen? Hopefully you can. But let me share my screen here. At least you can hear me. That's the important part. So looking here, we have the S&P 500. So this is the top 500 companies in the US. So this is kind of like a what you'd call an ETF mutual fund, a basket of 500 companies all put together. And there's like a strategic process to come in and out of the S&P. Recently, which is actually super bullish for crypto, Coinbase actually came into. Coinbase is public on the stock market. Coinbase, for those of you who don't know, is a centralized exchange. So that's a place where you can actually buy, sell crypto, trade, invest, however you want to see it, however you play it. So if you wanted to buy Bitcoin, literally just connect your bank to Coinbase and then you can hit buy. So Coinbase is actually one of the companies that made it into the S&P this year, I believe, and super bullish, right? Because it's really great when you see crypto companies coming into a major mutual fund and ETF. Not to also mention these institutions like BlackRock are continuing to buy up Bitcoin, not only Bitcoin, but also Ethereum and Chainlink. So all this is just a super bullish recipe to kind of propel the crypto market forward. The big issue we've had in crypto is the fact that people were doubting it. Like back in the day, like even back before the 2021 bull run, before the whole COVID crash in 2020, we had a lot of doubters back in 2017 when Bitcoin ran up to like 13,000, and I think it was like well below 1,000 before then. It had an insane run, and everyone was just doubting it. And now we're above 100,000, which is just absolutely insane. Wait another 10 years, we'll be above a million. Can't guarantee anything, but I'm pretty confident in that. But kind of hopping back in here, you see the S&P since April of this year was a huge bottom for markets worldwide, not just stock markets, but also for getting into crypto, other international markets, futures, things of that sort. But basically, this was a huge bottom, and it's really been an uptrend since then. So if I come here and I take my little measurement for the percentage up to its current price, let's just go to the peak, which was literally just maybe a day or two ago, or 2, 3 days ago. We ran up 38%. So again, the gains are a lot different. It's a mutual fund too. So take into account if you bought like Tesla stock or Nvidia, Microsoft, all these big tech companies, maybe you made more returns. But looking at the mutual fund, 38% in the span of what, 6-ish months or so, or a little less than 6 months, is amazing. Like that's a really good return. That's something you probably won't see often in stocks. The S&P is known to give you, I think it's like 5% a year around. Sometimes it'll go up to like 8, 9, maybe even 10. Maybe it'll dip down to like 2 or 3, but it's known as a consistent long-term investment. So going up 38% in the span of a few months is super bullish, right? And then now we can see that the trend really hasn't changed. Like we've been in an uptrend. It's literally going up and to the right. Like it's going straight diagonal. And I wouldn't be surprised if we started to go vertical pretty soon too, like coming up on this. If I zoom out here, we could literally just continue to go up here. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Let me just reset this. So that's the stock market right now. S&P is a great indicator of the stock market because, again, it's full 500 companies. But if I kind of come back to Bitcoin, let me find it here. been in an uptrend. Let's go back to that April date right here. So we've been in an uptrend since April, and then let's go to the peak. 67, almost 68%. So S&P, if you bought in April, sold at the top like a few days ago, you'll be up 38%. Bitcoin, you bought in April, you sold in, what is this? What are we looking at? August 14th, maybe like a week or 2 weeks ago now, a week or two ago, week and a half, you would make 68%. There's a big difference in gains. So crypto is a lot more volatile, meaning that you'll have bigger drops and bigger gains, but it's higher risk, higher reward. And that's just because there's still less liquidity sitting in the crypto market. Less liquidity in the sense that institutions are slowly trying to adopt it. It's being more utilized on balance sheets for companies. It's starting to become a lot more popular, but there's still not enough liquidity to keep it afloat, or not necessarily afloat, but to keep it from being super volatile. However, I do feel like this is going to end soon. I do think Bitcoin's going to get to a point where it's literally just steady up and to the right, just like the S&P 500. It's going to be exactly like the S&P 500, which is actually going to be crazy. It says the screen is black. Is the screen still black? I'm new to this, so sorry. It seems like when I go out and I come back in, it gets black. Screen goes dark. Let me know if you can still see it. Chat, post in the chat if you can see it. It's my first time saying chat, so still new to it all, so please bear with me. But yeah, so here we have BTC, right? It's going up 68%, which is crazy. Now that is a big difference when you're comparing it to, things like the S&P. So there's a huge difference there. But what the biggest issue that I'm running into now is the fact that can you see me now? I hope you can see me now. I hope it's like you have to be in the tab. Okay. Basically, the issue that we're seeing now is that Bitcoin kind of topped out and September 17 September, 6 days ago, and it's been down about 5% in the past 7 days. Now, if we go back to the S&P 500, and let's just do the past 5 days. So going back to the 17th, we had a big dip, but it was kind of bought up here. It's been up almost 2%. Well, if we take it to the top, it was 2% exactly. So what that tells me is that Bitcoin's been down 5% the last 7 days. Stocks have been up 2% in the last 7 days. And then if we just take a look at gold in the last 7 days, let's just do 18th, from the 18th till now, and let's just take it to the peak. Gold's up almost 5%. Gold literally shot up to 3,800. I think it actually topped above 3,800, I believe, currently at a crazy price too. Absolutely wild, right? So gold is leading, S&P 500 is leading, but crypto is lagging. Something's not adding up, in my opinion. I feel like since we're getting news, Trump, president of the U.S., basically came out and said, I'm going to make a big announcement. He said he's going to make an announcement today. Don't know if we have an announcement as of now. I can definitely look into that. But I want to just see and check. Like, I feel like it's a reverse of a buy the rumor, sell the news. Very famous saying, but you buy the rumor of something. So let's just say you hear a rumor saying that a coin is going to be listed on an exchange. Let's say Coinbase, for example, since I already brought it up. Coinbase goes through a rigorous testing process to list your coin. So you drop a coin, you take the coin all the way to the point where you want to list it on Coinbase. So it's a whole process. You have to get approval. I'm sure the SEC is involved in some way. Basically, let's just say you hear news that a coin, let's just call it coin A, is going to be listed on Coinbase. You hear that news a month in advance. They say they give out a date a month in advance and they say, we're going to be listed on this date. So buying the rumor would be buying it then and there when they make the first announcement and then selling it right before they get listed. Classic sentimental trading technique when it comes to anything crypto, stocks, commodities, equities, anything. So when you're thinking about that, normally you wouldn't think the reverse. You wouldn't think sell the news, buy the rumor. So I feel like that's going on right now. We're selling the news in anticipation as to what's going to come out and what's the government is going to release when it comes to these crypto reserves, the use of crypto in the government. Basically, they want to utilize blockchain. Like that's not a secret. That's something we've known for a while now. They definitely want to utilize the blockchain because it is a very good technology. It's a public ledger. It's immutable, cannot be changed. It's something that people really want to integrate. By people, I mean the government. So when they integrate that, they have to be using specific coins. Bitcoin, they're going to be used as digital gold, as a store of value. Ethereum, they're going to be using as a network to deploy things like smart contracts, which give you the ability to deploy coins. You could even deploy NFTs, different things, but basically build things on Ethereum. Chainlink comes in, gives you the ability to take all your data off chain, bring it on chain. In my opinion, Chainlink is like the backbone of what crypto is because of the ability of it to basically take that data and bring it on. So if you wanted to track the price of Bitcoin, for example, you wouldn't be able to track it. You wouldn't be able to see it on chain without Chainlink. I gotta point to it right here. Chainlink literally takes the data and brings it on chain. And why I'm so fascinated about it, I work a full-time job too. I work in data analytics. I'm literally a data head. I analyze data. I do all these methods, use all these technologies. I'm huge on data and understanding the processes and so on. Chainlink is revolutionary when it comes to data because of what they're doing. And not only that, they made ties. They literally made an agreement with our own government. So our government literally came out and said that they're going to use Chainlink. The founder of Chainlink, Sergey, I believe, yeah, Sergey, he literally shook hands with Trump and is ready to make a deal and move forward with Chainlink, and a bunch of bullish news is coming up. So I do feel like this is a buy the dip moment in crypto. Sure, you hear that all the time, but this is very much important to understand what I'm telling you, how I'm breaking it down, because I've seen these moments in crypto. I've been in the space almost, I want to say like 6-7 years, probably basically since 2019. Before we had that COVID crash and went on that huge run where NFTs were popping off, Bored Apes. You had literally liquidity coming from everywhere and you were seeing crazy, crazy gains. So I went through that. I've also been through this bull run. So bull runs come in cycles. Normally you have 4-year cycles around the Bitcoin halving. And I won't dive too deep into that. You can definitely check out my channel. I have many videos about it. But basically, it's just the process of the Bitcoin rewards getting cut in half for the Bitcoin miners. The miners are the ones that approve the blocks and get rewarded in Bitcoin. You're mining new Bitcoin. Again, Bitcoin stuck to a 21 million supply. That's a hard cap. That's all in the code, and the halving every 4 years is also in the code. So what cycles do is that when the halving happens, normally that's when it starts the bull market. Our last halving was actually, let me pull up the date so I don't get that wrong. Last Bitcoin halving was April 2024. So we're about 2 years out from the halving, however you want to call it. And Normally, bull markets expand to 3, 4 years or so. So, kind of the one before that was 2020. It kind of topped out in 22, I guess. We started the bear market 22, 23. But I feel like it's different this time. And I know that's a common term. Everyone's like, oh, it's different this time. How is it different? That doesn't make any sense. It's different because we have institutions picking it up, we have government picking it up. I don't think we see cycles anymore. I think instead of seeing crypto cycles, we see a consistent uptrend, just like how the S&P was maybe 20, 30 years ago, even longer, maybe let's just say early 1900s. The S&P had its moments, it had big drops, but eventually volatility was limited other than black swan events. I think the biggest last one was the COVID crash, which crashed all markets, crashed commodities, crashed gold, S&P, Bitcoin, everything. Unless we see something crazy like that, which would not be impossible, but I'm not wishing that, not foreseeing it, none of that. But I do believe that crypto, and more specifically the major coins, I'm not talking about smaller meme coins on Solana that you just be a degenerate on and trade. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking very specifically about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, the big three. And I explain them and I tell you why they're the foundation. Solana, I'll put in there because it is a very big layer one. A lot is being utilized, a lot is being built. You have kind of pump fund built on top of that too. If you don't know what that means, please do check out my channel. I got a lot of videos on it. I'll be streaming more often too, so I'll definitely give you guys more background. But what I want to cover right now is just the current state of the market. We had those Fed rate cuts. Boom, cut 50 basis points. Jay Powell came out and said, yep, rates are going down. Wasn't necessarily, was bullish initially, which is great, and then bearish after, which in my opinion was expected. Everyone was going way too bullish. Now we're heading into fear in the market. Everyone's thinking we've topped and Bitcoin's going to dip to 90,000, maybe lower. I don't know. I don't agree. I feel like the market is still hasn't seen a crazy up. Like if you were there in the market during 2021 when you saw these crazy gains coming left and right, true alt season popping off, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't think we've truly seen that. Maybe on Solana itself, and that's about it. And we've seen these meme coins, pump fund coins, so on, bonk ecosystem now coming up, a few other things. Sure. But I don't think we've seen the true run just yet, which makes me super bullish. And I'm not talking about maybe these smaller coins. And we will see an alt season where some of these coins are doing 10x's, 100x's on a daily, weekly basis. Wouldn't be surprised. This may be the last time we see that, though, is what I'm trying to say, because institutions are coming in, big names are coming in. We're seeing these people kind of flood into the market. By these people, I mean institutions, BlackRock, big banks, JP Morgan, Chase. They're all coming in and they're consistently buying. And not only that, they've been buying on this dip, believe it or not. Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, he's the biggest Bitcoin bull, corporate Bitcoin bull that I know. He just consistently buys. He's buying by the billions. He has, I don't know how much equity he has in Bitcoin, maybe like over $1 trillion, honestly. Maybe not that crazy, but literally huge Bitcoin bull. So it just makes me more and more bullish on the actual market. And it just gets me more excited. Honestly, I'm very excited to see where we go. I think October is also known as Uptober, meaning that we could easily bottom here in the next week or two and literally just send up Q4. I think October will be bullish. I think November could be sideways, but December will be bullish going into the next year. A lot of people are calling a top in Q1 of next year, maybe even just January, February. I don't know. I think long-term assets are great. I think if you literally just buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Link, set it, forget it, come back in 10 plus years, you may be sitting on a good chunk of change. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not giving financial advice. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. Just based on my experience and how long I've been in the market, I really truly feel like we're just getting started. We're headed to maybe the last inning, which we may see some euphoria and then we'll see the market come down. But I don't think we're going to see like a 70% correction on Bitcoin anymore. I think we may see a 30% correction. So that just says that maybe we run Bitcoin up to like 150, maybe even pushes 180 to 200,000. And it comes back down to still stays above 100,000. Ethereum could go easily up to 10,000, maybe higher, and it comes back still above 5,000. Chainlink's currently sitting at 21 something. I think that could easily run up to above 100, come back down still above 50. So these are just not necessarily targets, but more of how the market could move. Definitely anything can happen. I don't have a crystal ball, can't predict the future, but I do feel like this is the state of the market and this is where we're heading. And you have these indicators like gold and the stock market. Like, why wouldn't crypto follow along? That's just how I see it. And again, like I want to wait and see what this news is, and I'm kind of just looking here, trying to see if there was an announcement or something kind of going on, but maybe not. Maybe they delayed the announcement, but there's some announcement coming for crypto through the government that I feel like is going to be super huge. And I think this next 2-3 months could definitely be a great opportunity to make some money, to get into some good investments. Maybe if you want to trade it short term, that's fine. We could see some big gains, but if you want to just hold it long term, build like a retirement fund, this is definitely a great way to do so, because I do feel like blockchain is a great technology, great asset, something that you can literally hold on to for a long time, kind of like being early into the S&P, early into these tech companies, Amazon, Microsoft. These are these are opportunities that don't come often. So all I'm saying is don't let it pass you by. Take advantage of the now. Let it ride the wave. Let it be great. And when you get to a point where you feel like you're comfortable, set your targets. That's all I'm going to say. Buy now, set a target. Chainlink, for example, buy it right now at $21, sell it at 100. Or if you're a little more bullish, sell it at 200. Chainlink could even go to 500, to 1,000. Like if we're talking a longer time frame, years, you definitely have those targets. Same thing with Bitcoin. Everyone was downplaying Bitcoin when it was hit the COVID lows. I remember I saw it that day. It hit COVID lows of $3,000 or 3,500, something in the 3,000 range. It hit that low, and now we're at 100,000. So from 2020 low, 5 years later, 3,000 to now 100,000. That's a what, 20, no more than 20, 30, 33x. So you put in $1,000, for example, into Bitcoin when it was in that 3,000 level, you would now have $33,000. Just saying, like you have to think longer term time frames. You can definitely trade. In my opinion, you can trade if you want, if you prefer that. If that's your niche and your skill set, go for it. Trade, use leverage if you want, but just be careful because we're in a very volatile market, like I keep saying. But if you keep long-term assets, you can definitely set future generations up. You can definitely make a difference and get to financial freedom, which I feel like is our ultimate goal. So enough of that spiel, but I just want to let you know that's how tongue twister, how bullish I am on this market. It's how crazy bullish I am. I do feel like this is going to be a life changer as far as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link. They are great assets to get into. Yeah, so I don't have anything too more to kind of get to, guys. Again, this is my first stream, so I really do appreciate all of you tuning in. I will be doing more of these. I'm just getting into streaming. Maybe I'll set up a stream on like Twitch or Kick or something else, but I'll definitely keep you in the know. Definitely follow my Twitter too. I post a lot of updates there. My Twitter is at CryptoCompass24. I'll actually just drop that in the chat, since I have the chat anyways here. So that's my Twitter handle. Definitely check that out. I'll be posting updates. I usually retweet big announcements. There's a lot coming through in the market. We just have a lot to look forward to. I feel like we could easily bottom very soon. So kind of look out for that. If we do dip more, just dollar cost average is what I would say. That's always what I recommend, especially in volatile markets. But yeah, I think that's a good update for today. Appreciate you all joining the stream. I will be streaming more. I'm still dropping my weekly videos, so don't worry about that. I'll be dropping updates on weekly videos about big news that's coming on, maybe highlight some coins. I did drop a recent video a few days ago about a potential airdrop too, which is great. So, yeah, thank you all for joining the stream. See you guys next time. And until next time, peace out.